All right, we're back. Check it out. Darren Hassay trying to update whatever wackiness we can put out because, this is insanity, right? There has to be some investigative journalist that will take this case. I mean, this is a one in a lifetime, very unique issue going on, right? It'll grind you. Talking about a military experience that you find out 30 years later was rare. So rare, there's not a other yet discovered Navy guy with that resume, right? That's very specific accusation that can be fact checked, and no one will fact check it. And I called an inspector general um, who won't even investigate because I'm in a board of corrections. He said that's his exact um, requirement. They investigate like if directives were followed, or they do investigate if that happens or doesn't happen. Except in my case they won't, because you know in particular if there was these instructions were followed in my medical records for clearing me for duty and then releasing me for duty medically, documenting everything that which never happened on the ship, right? And it's easily discovered when you look at the instructions that guided it, right? Specifically, it said you had to quote, put these statements in your medical records. Now, we'll get to that in a second, but I mean, that's insanity, right? I think I'm living in hell because you can't even get someone to help you get justice, which is this guy, the inspector general, saying, we can't help you, but everyone else we can help. I said, what's an honorable discharge worth? You know, um, Especially when you're talking about putting people on the streets with medical conditions directly contribute from military assignments that are even experimental. I mean, it's insanity, right? You think that's a joke? It's not a joke. It's a reality, right? And then they think, oh, I swore an oath to defend the Constitution, so therefore I must have, done something brave. They have no idea about cruel and unusual punishment, mentioned multiple times um, in the Constitution, which, again, it's pretty cruel and unusual to use a kid in the military, not even help him medically, never give him therapy or counseling, put him into extreme stressors that are experimental, that even the judges can't even comprehend, or even the government lawyers don't even want to comprehend. See if he can withstand it or doesn't run away or go AWOL and he gets an honorable discharge. Then use his contract against him because he had a reserve contract and he didn't get enough active duty days. Then say he was fit for duty when they never medically treated him and they ignored all his complaints and never gave him medical care. You think that's a joke, right? And then you can try to transfer from the Navy to the Army to get out of it. They will say that the Army's at fault. The Navy had no responsibility for anything. I mean, okay, so this has been going on for 10 years to collect this evidence. And look at this. This is just one file. This is just one file. You can see one file where you just see. I mean, this is to save your own life, right? And you're putting together the system. And you see that I mainly, I've been just looking here. You can see U.S. Navy IG, U.S. MEPCOM. Some of these are going to be bigger files where you dive in and you just see the amount of study and the amount of documentation. It becomes a job, right? And I'm going to go to my website. So many things to cover. Actually, what might be good to cover is here's the physicals. This is exact physical that should have been documentation that should have been put in your medical records. You see, it says right there, shipboard medical procedures manual. The inspector general, like, oh, that doesn't matter. No one, you don't need to follow that. Doesn't matter if they follow it or not. Section 3 directly is your NRF cruise. That's your ship. That's your unit. Rare unit, experimental, no longer around. Very rare experience. And the damn inspector general is like, we don't care. We don't care if the Navy follows its own instructions to document your medical records. Here's what you're supposed to put in there. There has been no change in your physical condition since my last examination, injury, illness that would prevent me from performing all my duties while on active duty for training, quote, and then your signature, unquote, and a current physical examination within, I don't know, you don't even have current physical examinations. This whole thing isn't followed. And then here's the last one. It says specifically, release from active duty training or active training SF entries. Quote, I have not suffered an illness or injury during my period of days, active duty training on a ship, member signature. And here's SDMR, quote, unquote. Member has not sought medical attention during this period of annual training, fit for release from active training. They never put that crap in your medical records. Never. And now they're like, the inspector general won't even confront it. Release entries are important for the documentation of illness, injury, or received active training, as these situations may result in future claims, which I'm in, right? Injuries or illnesses occurring during active training may require a notice of eligibility per ManMed Chapter 15 and SECNAV Instruction 1770.3. Reservists are entitled to the same access to health care while on active duty as their USN counterparts. However, administratively, notice of eligibility procedure must be followed or timely delivery. Reservist benefits will suffer. Meaning, yeah, you will put a kid in the street. You will injure a kid. The government doesn't care if these instructions are followed. And it's plain as day. Here's Chapter 15. I found the ManMed. And they repeat the same, I believe they repeat. We'll go over it. So okay, a member ordered active duty for training of less than 90 days is not required to undergo a complete medical examination. If the medical examination filed in the health record is valid. But I don't believe I had valid one. They didn't, there's like one medical, not even, and they ignored my complaints. A SF 600 entry certifying the member is physically qualified for active duty must be made by MBR. Upon release from the member, will date and sign the standard form 600 entry certifying that he or she did not incur any disabling injury or illness while on active duty. If found not physically qualified, the member will be processed using SECNAV, again, the same thing, 1770.3 series. Again, I can't get the Inspector General to even confront its own regulations, Navy regulations. And I guess that's something they can repeat. The guy literally said that, yeah, a lot of people's medical records are screwed up, so get over it. Something to that effect. He said that Joe Biden could write him a memo directly stating to help me, and that he wouldn't help me, that he would push me. He said you have to go to the Board of Corrections Navy records, which I'm in, but the Board of Corrections won't even accept this evidence. They ignore it, and as if this doesn't even exist, these instructions. I've put this in my own application. These instructions were not followed in the original application. I believe I mentioned this because I've been aware of it for many years. They never cleared me for duty. They ignored all my complaints of stressor injuries on the ship. When I was a kid, I tried to transfer to the Army to get off the ship, and then they're here, forget it, man, that means absolutely nothing. Blame the Army. We don't care if you suffer cruel and unusual punishment in streets. We don't care. We have no idea what the Constitution is. about society and how to operate a society correctly. I could make up a bunch of innuendos because like that's essentially what they're doing, right? They never lost 20 years of benefits. They never were homeless. Their mom never saw them suffer in the streets. And that's a real story. My mom watched me suffer, confused, not even knowing I'd experienced the experimental unit yet. Because I didn't have the documents yet. So that I was pretty, trying to forget that whole experience. I'm like, dude, I never talked about the Navy. Now I talk about it completely. And I'm like, dude, I was on that ship. And that shit was crazy, dude. And you're telling me that, yeah, of course I was gonna forget it, dude. I would never want to remember that crap. But I gotta find my own website, see if it comes up. Because the reason I want to show you is, see, it even says reservists are more likely to have their VA claims denied. And this has been, I was a reservist. They will attack you as a reservist, in service and out of service. And they won't investigate nothing. And look at this. We're going to go right into the, look at that ship. That ship will jump in and out of the ocean. I was on that ship in the middle of the night. Like, whoa, bro, your skin is crawling. I mean, your soul it's a hard experience. And, this is during daytime, and I think the ocean isn't heavy seas. But imagine if that was heavy seas. I mean, they just discharged me, and I could go on and on and on. You know, it's so insane that I hope I have to find an investigative journalist to tackle this. Navy SEALs would not train like this. It's so extreme. They would never allow such a paradigm of. Of course, the Navy gave up on this whole experience. Of course everything fell apart, dude. And then it's so confusing to them. These people went to college and they're like, oh yeah, we use logic and logic, and we're so logical and Americans and everything. But you got into the military, and it's so confusing, and we'll never talk about the ship very much, and so yeah, obviously you're not. It's gonna take years to connect the dots. 20 years, 30 years, 7 years. I mean, shoot, they probably find by then, they'll find a million reasons to help Nicaragua or another country out. Every other person or whatever immigrant from another country will fund every other country's humanitarian aid packages and all sorts of crap, right? But a kid right here in the military, nah, just will be good luck. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is I'm gonna put all this out and hopefully someone will see it. All right, guys, peace.